Welcome into the Alabama Football Report, a new challenge for you guys before we break down some of the stuff coming out of SEC Media Days. Last video we asked for this, 200 likes was the goal, and you guys delivered. So let's up the numbers this time. Let's get to 300 on today's video as we get set to break down what's being said so far at SEC Media Days. Here's what we've got on today's show for you. Brian Kelly, the LSU head coach, has offered some praise for Bama OC Tommy Rees. Greg McElroy with a really interesting take on the quarterback battle. And Paul Finebaum is back talking about Nick Saban. I've got some maybe divisive thoughts on that one. Let's begin, though, with Tommy Rees, who, of course, took over as the new Alabama offensive coordinator after a rapid rise to where he is currently. 2015, he was the Northwestern graduate assistant, or at least say a Northwestern GA. Chargers offensive assistant for a year, takes over as the Notre Dame quarterback coach under Brian Kelly, who, of course, he played at Notre Dame. Then was the OC for a few years. Kelly leaves for LSU. Then the next year, Rees jumps down to Saban at Alabama. The last 2 years for Notre Dame's offense has not been the best. The quarterback play was inconsistent, but I think the 2020 campaign is what to keep an eye out for this year. The total offense went down. I get that. The passing yards dropped by 1,000. The rushing yards went way up. And my suspicion, and I know producer Chris, our Bama grad insider, agrees, it's going to be a run-heavy offense this year. But here's what Brian Kelly said about his former quarterback and his former OC. I think it starts with he played the game at a high level. Smart. Builds great relationships with his players. I think he understands the balance of art and science when it comes to play calling. Play calling is not just about analytics. It's not just about tendencies. You got to have a gut feeling. You got to know when to make those calls. He played the position. He knows it. He can balance those two things. I hope he has great success in every game he plays until we play him at LSU. He also said this about why he took the Bama job. You don't get a chance to work for Nick Saban very often. And when you do, good things generally happen. Matter of fact, mostly all the time. So it's not that hard track record to look at. There's been a long success line of notable Nick Saban assistants, dating back to his time at LSU, in the NFL, to Alabama now. Jimbo Fisher, which was a success story, maybe not so much anymore. You can always type in F Jimbo in the comments. Kirby Smart is maybe the most successful one, especially against Saban. Not much of a bar to clear there, though. Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, Dan Lanning has gone a pretty quick ascent now to Oregon. He does get some credit. Dan Quinn was on his staff with the Miami Dolphins. Brian Daboll's had a nice run in the NFL. Maybe less successful offensive coaches. Adam Gase as a head coach has not been very good. Garrett's had a long career. Billy Napier is now a Florida head coach. I mean, you've got a bunch of sitting college football head coaches. We didn't have room for guys like Mike Locksley on this list. That's how impressive it's been under Nick Saban. And in theory, Tommy Rees could be the next one, and maybe more in the Lane Kiffin mold of the young offensive coordinator. So year one of Tommy Rees upcoming. We're getting closer to fall camp, finally. What is your confidence level in Tommy Rees? Use the old scale 1 to 10. It'll be today's pinned comment, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let us know. Let's look now at what Greg McElroy, the former Bama quarterback, has said about the quarterback battle, which I'm really intrigued by this prediction. He says, quote, if I were to bet on one of these three horses, meaning Ty Simpson, Jalen Milroe, and Tyler Buchner, I think Ty Simpson's probably the guy throughout the course of the season. Simpson did not play very well in the A-Day game. Frankly, none of the quarterbacks did. I think it's also maybe a factor in why afterwards, after spring ball wrapped up, Bama went out, we got to get somebody else. We got to get Buchner in here too. I also will say this. It's not fair to just take one game, one sample size of, not the full supporting cast necessarily, the defense probably being a bit better, the quarterback's not getting the most help from their wide receivers, and go, well, that's what they are. We've seen enough to know that these guys are never going to be the good. The offense was still a little bit limited, and I think from a passing game construct, it will be limited throughout the season, but you did see the successful ground game stuff from the quarterbacks involved there as well. Also worth mentioning, Ty Simpson dislocated his thumb on the first drive, so not like he was at 100%. But I do find that prediction from McElroy really interesting. We're going to break down more in depth the quarterback battle once again, But we have some jerseys on sale for you guys from our good friends over at Fanatics. Chatsports.com/Alabama jersey. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. You can get a custom one. You can get I call them the historical jerseys, guys like Bryce Young, so you can customize to your own name, to a friend's name, to a current player, whatever. They are on sale. Not sure how much longer they'll be on sale, but these are the official Nike jerseys. So get yours today at chatsports.com/Alabama jersey. Simpson is kind of the young piece, right? The unknown to an extent. Jalen Milroe is vets kind of doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, but veteran, the incumbent, the experienced one, previously on the Alabama roster. He is a dual threat. I don't love him as a passer. I will never forget Bill O'Brien telling the CBS sideline crew that, yeah, he's not a great thrower. We've got to run the football more. Wild thing to say, and maybe Bob didn't know he was going to be quoted on that one, but he did tell the CBS crew there. But he is a dynamic dual threat, and that makes it really intriguing for me. There's also the new guy. That's Tyler Buchner, the transfer. Who look, I don't think that Buchner transferred to Alabama to be a backup. I think there's a scenario in which Buchner doesn't win the job, but I think he is coming here with a shot of at least trying to be the starter. He played for Tommy Rees at Notre Dame. After the spring game, which Buchner was never going to win that job against Sam Hartman, but he stuck around. He could have stayed as the backup for the Fighting Irish. He wants to go play somewhere. That's why he ended up at Alabama. He has been really inconsistent, though, over the course of his college football career. He was okay against Ohio State, struggled pretty mightily against Marshall, and frankly, it was a bit of a colossal dumpster fire of a game. He was horrible. He gets hurt, leaves, does not return until the Gator Bowl. And the Gator Bowl flashed some of his upside and some of the downside. He had most of his passing touchdowns in his career came in the Gator Bowl, by the way. 5 total scores, 3 through the air, 2 on the ground. Also had 3 interceptions, but ran it well, threw it better than he had in the past. Accuracy's kind of always been hit and miss for him. The completion percentage numbers have never been very good. I think this quarterback battle in the end is far from finalized. This will go on, if not through all of fall camp, maybe through the first couple games of the season. So come week 5, knowing there could still be some battles going on in week 1, etc., by week 5, we should know who the starter is, barring injuries. Who is it? TS for Ty Simpson, as Greg McElroy predicted. JM for Jalen Milroe. TB for Tyler Buchner. Get those predictions in for me in the comment section right now. Next, we'll look at our good friend maybe an understatement, Paul Finebaum, who, look, he's got a tricky job. He's always got to find stuff to discuss here. But he's once again going on about Nick Saban's legacy. What happens if they miss the playoffs? Should you reconsider it? Here's what Paul said. Yes, you have to. If he's in the same league as somebody as Kirby Smart, who has at the end of the season won 3, that's a big hit on his legacy. I think you also have to question Saban about last year. He had the best offensive and defensive player, and with that, he still couldn't get it done. In general, I hate legacy talk in sports. What it ends up happening is you're so obsessed with trying to figure out where the still ongoing career ranks that you're ignoring the greatness in front of us. Nick Saban has been one of the most, if not the most successful coach in college football history. Why can't we just enjoy and appreciate that and try to win games right now? Saban will have a new quarterback this year. It's kind of crazy what he's been able to do with a bunch of different first-year quarterbacks making national championship games. Greg McElroy, A.J. McCarron, Jake Coker. Yeah, remember him? Yeah. Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, and we'll asterisk Blake Sims since, lost Ohio State, CFP, so like it kind of counts, but it also doesn't. Nick Saban has won 7 national championships. He has 11 SEC championships. He's 13-3 all-time at bowl games. He's got a bunch of different Heisman Trophy winners. Let's just enjoy that. I don't care about the legacy. I could give a shit. It does not matter. Who cares? Win games right now. Don't try to tear down Saban if he doesn't have his best year ever. I just think that's a really dumb argument to make overall. Now, as we will kind of hate on Finebaum here, if you think Finebaum just hates on Alabama for clicks and views and whatever, then like today's video right now.